know I'm a bit late on this one, but that was because, well, I have the day off, so I slept in. I hope you'll forgive me for that. That's probably going to happen over the next 2 or 3 days. Nothing serious. Just wanted to catch up on a little sleep, and kind of became apparent to me I might have been missing a little more than I needed to miss. You know, that's what happens when you get a little older, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're in your 20s or your teens and you're staying up all night, sleeping most of the day, or not sleeping at all, guess what? It'll catch up to you. So anyway, not much really to talk about outside of this reading, all except for the fact that I found one of my favorite books, and since I've been wanting to read it again, I decided to pick it up. It's a book called December by Phil Rickman, and if you haven't read it yet, I urge you to pick up a copy and check it out, because it's quite good. It's written in '94, and what it's about is a band that a record label put together, and this band, all of its members have intuitive abilities. And so the record label set them up to record in a haunted abbey in England. And this rock band, well, the experience nearly destroyed them. And the reason the book is called December is because the band went into the studio on December 8th, 1980. Bonus points for anyone who knows what real-life event occurred on that day without looking it up. But I do recommend reading it because the experience almost destroyed them, and years later the record label finds the recordings that they did make and wants to release them, urging them to get back together 14 years after the fact to finish the album. And this abbey, I might add, is haunted. And Phil Rickman does a great deal of research to make this a supernatural thriller. And it is, by definition, a thriller. I read it once, probably about 20 years ago, and it was selected for me by a girlfriend at the time. I was looking through a bookstore with her. We needed new reading material, and I couldn't seem to find anything that would interest me. So I asked her to decide, and she picked 2 books, December and a book by Robert McCammon called Swan Song, which was also very excellent. I recommend both. If you're going to read them, read both. They're very, very good. Anyway, I feel I've wasted enough of your time and should now get down to this reading. So, start with your significator. You're still helping people find their true north. People, you watch me shuffle these cards. There's not that many of them in the Viking Oracle. Not the part that I use. We also have the 9 Worlds. We know what these cards are, but if you're just joining us, the 9 Worlds, as a guide, represents, the fate of one affecting the fate of many. Let me give you an illustration as to how this works. Let's say I'm driving around. Last night we had snow. It turned into rain and washed it all away, of course. Now, someone's in this freezing cold, which right now I do not know what the temperature is because my phone is over there. Anyway, it's on the charger. Anyway, we're looking at cold. Here the last couple of days it's been like, I don't know, I think it bottomed out at 9 degrees. If I see someone walking in the wind and that cold, I offer them a ride. Where can I take you? Let me get you out of this cold for a while. Let's get you warmed up, pal. Get your hands in front of that heater, I'll crank it. The person goes to offer me a few bucks for gas, and I tell them put the money back in their pocket. Just do something nice for someone else. Then, that person then does something good for someone else and only asks the same. So on and so forth. The one little action, that thing that you think is trivial, oh, I'm just doing a little bit of good here. That's all I can really do. Well, that's fine. Do it. Because you found your true north, and now you can properly direct others through just little touches. It doesn't have to be a big heavy hand that encompasses all. It just has to be, hey, you know what, keep that money, use that to do something good for someone else, and then just kind of pay it forward. Keep paying it forward. That is how we create the change that we want to see in the world. That's how it works. Those two cards, that's what they symbolize. And so what animal in nature will kind of help us toward that? Groundhog spirit. Time to let go. I know this isn't Groundhog Day, and this is not Punxsutawney Phil. However, it may be time to let go of some notions. Maybe time to quit worrying about the scam that someone may be presenting you with. It's good to have a level of caution, but it's also destructive to be overcautious, to completely isolate yourself and wall yourself off. Going with our tarot cards, Six of Swords, Seven of Coins, and of course an Eight of Swords. There we go. Okay, so we've seen these cards before. We know exactly what they mean. Starting with the Six of Swords. Oh, whoa, notice something. Six of Swords, Seven of Coins, Eight of Swords. 6, 7, 8. Right there in order. You gotta love that. 6, 7, 8. There we go. We are on a journey towards something better. That's you, that's me, that's all of us. The question is, who will you take on your journey with you? Seven of Coins. We are really kind of proud of all of our hard work. It's time we share it a little bit. There's nothing wrong with sharing something, right? After all, we are creating that abundance in our lives. But here's our fear right there. This card symbolizes our fears and insecurities. But the fact of the matter is, your problems seem a lot bigger than they are. So it's time to shake off those bonds because they're very loose, rip off the blindfold, and step between the swords because they do not actually cage you in. There it is. Bigger than life and twice as beautiful in my opinion. So far, we have gone through the Viking Tarot, we've gone through Spirit Animal Oracle, or not Viking Tarot, I'm sorry, Viking Oracle, we've gone through Spirit Animal Oracle, and we've gone through Tarot Grand Lux. But you know, on Moonology Mondays, I'm going to pull in a Moonology deck, and in this case, it's Moonology Manifestations. So far, we have talked about manifesting the world that we really want to see, and I think as of last night, I checked the moon phase, and if I'm not mistaken, it was a waning gibbous moon, which, let me grab the book real quick, because I should have grabbed that on Moonology Monday, and I did not. By the way, Witcharoo, thank you for recommending I get a physical copy of this book, because, yes, you're right, it makes a very handy reference guide. But on a waning gibbous moon, let's see if I can find... Ooh, there's a Hay House audio app. Good to know. Let's see here. I'm looking for gibbous moons. they have quarter moons here in this appendix. Wonder if they have one for gibbous moons. Full moon names. There's a lot of astrology in here, ladies and gentlemen. But it doesn't seem like I'm going to be able to find it here. Daily moon Leo, blah blah blah, daily moons. Here we go. Do we go with gibbous moons anywhere? I know she's mentioned it. I listened to it in the book. Looks like this is a section on new moons. Table of contents, maybe. The lunar month, we'll go with page 9 here and find out what's going on. Ah, the gibbous moon phase. So, may have been a waxing gibbous. So anyway, gibbous moon phase. This means you stay on course. This phase begins 10.5 to 15 days after the new moon. The keywords in this phase are tweak, hone, and adjust. So as the moon gets closer and closer to fullness, it's time for stamina. Don't give up. Don't allow your ego or fear to spoil your plans. Stay open to whatever life is teaching you. If you need to know, if you know you need to make some changes to achieve your goals, make them now. Gibbous means bulging. And that very nicely describes the phase of the moon when hopefully life feels bulging with potential. This is a great time to review your plans. This is a good chance that they could use some kind of tweak now. Spend some time going over your ideas, see what feels as though it's working, and what feels like it might be about to run out of steam. This is the right time to build some kind of momentum, no matter what you're planning. But what if you've only just now come up with your plans? No problem. This is a great time to start new plans too. It's important not to become impatient during a cycle. As ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu said, people in their handlings of affairs often fail when they are about to succeed. If one remains as careful at the end as he was at the beginning, there will be no failure. Sorry. This phase is also good for getting back into any good habits or routines that you have let slip. We might be nearly 2 weeks away from the new moon, but ultimately we're still in the building phase of the moon cycle, so restarting something now is recommended. There you go. So, how do we do that? What do we need to know there? We've got a full moon in Cancer, which builds right off that Eight of Swords. Let your fears dissolve. We're letting go. Time to let go of fear, right? We've got a first quarter moon Pisces, and this is honor your feelings. It doesn't mean worship them. It just means honor them. Acknowledge that they're there, that they're part of this whole thing. And finally, the first quarter moon in Gemini, which is for you to speak your world into being. This is why it's important to be careful with your thoughts, your words, and your actions. That is why you must carefully decide what you're going to do. This is why affirmations are actually a really good thing. This is not just some new age hippie BS. It's good to look yourself in the mirror and honestly tell you that you love yourself. It's a good idea to sit in a room alone and talk things out with yourself verbally. There's nothing wrong with that. I work with people who do that. They talk to themselves out loud. They hold entire conversations with themselves because they are getting through a problem. And you know what? They're some of the best people I work with. I've learned to do it a little myself. Though I kind of mutter. I don't like to just be like, alright, so why is this not working? Okay. Well, that's right. Oh, I missed something here. Oh, idiot. You know, I don't like to do that. I just kind of like, okay, so what's going on? You'll hear a lot of that from me. So, the runes will now be guiding us, and they are Yera, pointing at the 7 of coins, which is that success earned, reaping that reward. We've got Tivaz, which is, of course, victory here. And, of course, we've got Kanaz, which is enlightenment, fulfillment. We will be lighting the way for others. It is time to stop telling. It's important to tell yourself how you're progressing. It really is. But it's time to stop sitting there virtue signaling to yourself and actually put it into practice. Let me tell you something. I've got great people, not good people, great people, tuning into this channel, tuning into my Hangouts, tuning into the live streams we do there. I'm talking about you watching this right now. You. Do you know what you have in common with everyone who watches this? If you're taking this advice and you're putting it into practice, you're a great person. I want to take good people, I want to make them great. I want to take people who are not so good and make them great. I want the best people that I can find. Because you will be the ones to make others great as well. Those little bitty actions, just those little things that you perform. You don't need government to do it. You don't need someone else to do it for you. You just need to do it yourself. Tuning into this channel are some of the greatest minds humanity has ever produced. Some of the greatest spirits and souls. Beware of anyone who tells you you're nothing without them. Ladies and gentlemen, some of you were great even without me here. Some of you were good without me here. And guess what? Long after I'm gone, there will be some of you who will do greater things without me here. So never doubt yourselves. You seizing your power is going to piss some people off. But when you do those little things for someone else, and that someone else does a little thing for someone else, and it goes on and on down the line, you're planting seeds which will eventually sprout and grow, and we can make the entire planet great again. Not me, you. I'm not looking for a following. I'm just looking for one of you, just one. That's all I need is just one of you to get out there and do some good. And I need that one to be you today. It's a Monday. It's wet. It's not exactly sunny and beautiful, but it's a great day. It's entirely possible that the history books will write nothing about us. It's entirely possible that our contributions will go unnoticed. I'm good with that. Want to know why? Because they'll never see us coming. Let's let go of fear today. Because fear is nothing more than a loose bond. It's a bandana over the eyes telling you you're blind. It's a bunch of swords you could easily step through. It's only as strong as what you make it out to be. Are we ready to take that journey? Are we ready to make those few little tweaks in our lives today that will result in absolute greatness tomorrow? People are going to know you by your works. And they're going to celebrate them, whether anyone else, writes them down in a book or not. Your fear is the only thing stopping you from this right now. Once you shed that fear, it's game over. No one can put you back into a state of it once you've released yourself from it. So the question is, what will you do today? You know what some of my favorite Dungeons and Dragons characters to play were? Sometimes, yes, it was the mighty barbarian, the warrior. But you know what? When it came to magic, that son of a gun was weak as hell. Fell easily to charms and spells. So you go the other direction. You play the wizard. Well, the wizard's going to need protection from the barbarian, isn't he? But my favorite characters were the thieves. Those little guys that were just really, really good at stealth. One moment the party looks back and realizes, hey, where did he go? And the next minute he pops out of nowhere and assassinates this big monster headed their way. Cuts the Achilles tendons so they can't walk. Makes surgical strikes. And ends up killing the beast. Because he had the element of surprise. Because no one saw him coming. And since no one saw him coming, he was able to jack a whole bunch of useful stuff before he actually did the killing. He sat there and he picked all the little pockets, he picked the little bags, he picked off the purses, tucked them away, and then went to killing. Because while everyone else was involved with the frontal approach, he was moving around back here and then taken from behind. Don't let them see you coming. Just do what you do. Keep doing it. Shed your fear and watch. You're so close to success. Don't give up now. Keep moving forward. Hold the line. I want to thank every one of you for tuning in today. I raise my cup of tea to you. Just remember, I love you all. That's why I want you to be as powerful as you can be. Find your power. Take it back. Snatch it back. Refuse to give it up. Resist anyone who tries to take it away from you. Most importantly, take care of yourselves and each other. Always do what lights you up. And as always, my friends, family, neighbors, shine on. Oh, hello again. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was a pretty powerful message. Seems like this gibbous moon is trying to tell us a little something, isn't it? Don't give up now. If you don't have any plans in place, it's time to put some new ones in there. Speaking of plans, I've said this before, I'll say it again. A dream is just that. It lives in your head. But a goal, that is a dream with a plan. I hope you got that. I hope you have one. You know, when I worked corrections, there was an old saying going around. A couple of them, actually. Better to have a fucked up plan than no plan at all. Even if you have a fucked up plan, it's still a plan. And another one of my personal favorites. Better to have a wise ass with a plan than a dumb ass without one. So if you haven't made any, make them. I know there's that saying, you know, the gods laugh at the plans of man. Well, true. But right now it seems that we are being directed toward actually having a plan. Something to guide us, move us forward. Gods can't make all the plans. Sometimes we have to do some of that little work on our own. You know, helps those who help themselves, that kind of thing. I've just recently kicked off one of my own. I'm back to eating and snacking a little healthier now, and I intend to turn it up to about 11. Fact is, I've slacked off a little more than I should have. Really shouldn't have been slacking off at all. Probably would have lost so much more weight by now. But you know what? Gotta get back to it. And you know what that means? I'm going to be a lot thinner at some point. Don't know when, not really concerned with it. I'm just going to do what I do and watch it happen. And I'm all for being comfortable in your own skin, but when it gets a little uncomfortable, that's when I suggest shedding it. Shed that skin, put on a new one. Metaphorically speaking, I do not mean that literally. Please do not misunderstand. Still highly recommend that book. Get a copy of it. Get it on audiobook. Listen to it for a while. See how it resonates with you. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, all this stuff right here, all these books and cards and everything, they're just tools. That's it. They're just tools. They're like, well, think of it like a cell phone. We can now communicate with people in other countries over long distances for pennies, if not nothing. Think about that. We can communicate with people all over the world. We can kind of make our own way. Do you really need big tech anymore? You know, I just recently heard that CNN has had its absolute lowest ratings in a while. That's pretty eye-opening. I mean, Because to me, they're losing the ability to control what others think. They're losing the ability to control, to make someone else's opinion for them. And quite honestly, I am good with that. I think it's time that they did lose that ability. Because I think it's time for you to make up your own damn mind. But you're going to have to be informed. And I have a personal policy. And this will illustrate how I shed my fear a long time ago. I remember back in the day when Dungeons and Dragons, the very thing I mentioned in this video, was something parents and church groups were, oh my goodness, they were wringing their hands over it. It'll drive you to suicide and murder and Satanism and drugs. No, not really. Nice gateway to other games, but I kind of doubted. It didn't do any of that for me or any of my friends. And don't you know that once I shed my fear of it, the fear that others were putting on me, and here's my illustration. They projected their fears about this game and the music all onto me, and I'm ashamed to admit it. I'd be pretty terrified at the time. I mean, I just want to play some games, man. I don't want to get involved in any kind of, any kind of evil, worshipping of some big horn thing. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Certainly really wasn't into any mood altering or mind altering drugs. It just didn't seem very smart to me. But you know what? I was into playing a game of, I was into kind of being a bit of a hero for a little while, even if it was only for a couple hours on like a weekend or something like that. And to me, that's where things started to not make any sense. So over one summer, I actually played these games, played them with friends, and I found out someone was lying to me. And when I looked into it for myself, someone was lying to me, and I decided to call it out. Oh, that led to a lot of stuff. My worst fears were realized. There was a lot of social ostracism, there was a lot of name calling, there was a lot of fights and stuff like that. A lot of bullying and things like that. All from members of my own church. Let that sink in. I wasn't all in anymore, therefore I must be punished until I was. The beatings would continue until morale improved. Now I look at it today. If you're not all in on this political ideology going around one way or the other, then you will absolutely be punished until you are. The beatings will continue until morale improves. And if you do not, you'll be socially ostracized and all this other stuff. And people, I know that's your fear right now, but there are some people right now, probably on Clouthub, that will try to do the same thing. And the thing I put out there is, you cannot intimidate someone with a tactic that has already been used upon them. And let me further illustrate, there are those like me. We will find a way, or we will create one. Whether you agree with it or not, whether you like it or not, that is how it is. Ladies and gentlemen, that was something you needed to know. That's why I created this little post-credit scene for you, to show you that just because a group of people professes that decapitation is the permanent and effective way to cure headaches for life, doesn't mean they're right, and they're leaving something out. Let that sink in. I'll let that sit with you. In the meantime, until tomorrow, have a great Monday, the day of the moon.